Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening from whichever part of the world you may be joining us. Welcome to this community tech talk we have prepared for you. For those of you who may be new to these sessions, this is the Mighty API community, and it's focused on all things Apigee, application integration, API, and integration things. So, welcome to your community. The purpose of this session is so that we can keep on empowering you with knowledge, share best practices, updates by expert Googlers. So, welcome everyone to today's session. A little bit of housekeeping details before we get started. These sessions will most of the time be presented by a Googler expert. At the end, we can have Q&A and office hours for the topics related to this community you would like to discuss. You're more than welcome to always come and ask your questions. And if we run out of time, we can always stay things offline and we can help you out through the community with your questions. We're going to meet almost every Thursday around this time, except with some holidays. And then this session is being recorded, and we will be happy to share with you the recording through the community, also by the YouTube channel that we have. So keep an eye on those in case you missed some of our previous sessions. You can always catch up with these resources. And I always like to make this invitation. If you'd like to be a speaker to these community sessions, you're more than welcome to join us on this stage. You just have to reach out either via the community or through LinkedIn, and we'll be happy to arrange your participation. With that, for this session, we're going to be taking questions at the end, but feel free to share those through the chat or through the Q&A. I'll be handling the moderation of these. So, or even at the end, you can always raise your hand and open your mic and just pop your question directly to the speaker. And speaking about our speaker for today, we have Mathilde. So Mathilde previously was a GCP specialist in manufacturing with a lot of experience in AI and use cases in manufacturing. And now we're lucky to have her to be one of the Apigee customer engineers in France. So she's going to be presenting to us today how to secure your AI governance with Apigee and Vertex AI. Thank you everyone for joining us. And Mathilde, thank you so much for being the presenter today. Take it over.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So I will present now my screen. So today's session, I wanted to make it a little bit, not starting straight away on Apigee, but more about a little bit about when we remember 2022. I don't know if any one of you already remember or tried to do image generation 2 to 3 years ago. But just to remember you, it was not good at all. It was painful to get a decent picture. You had to watch through 50 pictures and more. And maybe the best will be to look like Francis Bacon painting, or worst, like John Carpenter movies. And if we think about it, 3 short years later, we get this in 2 seconds. And this is amazing how I would say AI and GenAI go so fast in only 2 or 3 years time frame. We can create, of course, now today. I don't know if you had the pleasure to test Nano Banana, but we can create image from this picture to one of the favorite movie I had when I was a kid, The Fifth Element. Hope you remember these movies, and you can see the similitude. Why I'm saying that, it's just because to make a big picture on why we are talking about today this subject is because with the AI we see new area of the innovation and adoption, and here we can see three trends that maybe you see as a customer or as a partner in different area. The first one is the multimodality and thinking about models. The second one is agentic workflow. You need to have reasoning, planning, all these kind of things that adapt to make a decision. And the third one is the knowledge frontier. In this small introduction, there is a little background noise, so sorry. I'm moving to another part. So when we see that, what is an agent from our point of view, and why we are talking about that today? First and foremost, an agent, when we see in GenAI, is an application that tries to achieve goals by observing. But what do this agent and this AI, they will use actually tools. They will also act based on what you say, and they will also need some to be compliant to the enterprise context, the rules that you create. I hope that's better in terms of noise. So now let's focus on security of the agent, and this is where we as Apigee have our main focus is we will talk about OWASP for AI agent, OWASP for LLM. So OWASP, just for a reminder, it's a open worldwide application security project. So it's a project that lists the top 10 threads that we see in LLM. And as you can see here on this picture, we have, as an API manager, 5 topics that we can cover. Of course, there is some topics that is related to the people that are creating all the agents, and we can't do anything about that, data and modeling, positioning, for instance. And how we work on that here is on 4 focus with Apigee. So we will work to help you to mitigate risk on prompt injection, on sensitive information disclosure, on improper output handling, and in system prompt leakage. One of example I like is there was a customer that was one of the attacker asked, "Can I have access to this database?" And of course, the chatbot say no. And after they say, "Okay, so what kind of code can I create to get this data?" And it generates the code. So this is the new attacks that we can see, and this is where we want to be sure that there is no data leakage from our company. So that's the things. On our pattern, what is the security challenge that we see? And of course, we are here to challenge ourselves. So if you can see more than that, please go ahead. So the first one is, okay, we need to see what's going on the prompt. We need to detect and block the prompt, the prompt that are malicious, or there is bias and so on. We need to be sure also when we have a chatbot that asks a question. Why we are talking about chatbot today is because it's gained visibility from company to get a chatbot for everything to be honest. But how we can protect them is by also protecting all the information relative to data loss prevention. Okay, so when we have a chatbot that asks a question, is the question right or no? And after, when they get the data, is this data okay? Is this person or this application okay to get this data? It is okay or not? So this is the red part where we will focus in the beginning of this presentation. But of course, there is also the blue part, which is something we are used to do with Apigee, which is also when we are creating a chatbot and we see customer coming to us, they are creating some chatbot and now they want to protect them. And the first thing is, of course, okay, we need to know who is interacting with this chatbot. We need to create the authentication and the authorization. Who has access to what, when, with, of course, Apigee, and you can correlate to your IDP, and to be compliant to the security rules that you have. So there is really 2 parts that we can see here. Is the first part, which is more like the understanding of the prompt, which is more the OWASP top 10 of LLMs that we see just before. And the second part, which is more, okay, we need to still protect with the OWASP top 10 of the APIs that we will see in the second part. Of course, I will demonstrate how we can do that. So the first thing is how we protect the LLM is with Model Armor. So Model Armor is a solution that we use, and you can, as customer or as partner, create templates where you can notify what you want to understand from the prompt. So it will be used as a policy into Apigee. We have 4 policies regarding that to mitigate the risk of sensitive data leakage, prompt injection, and offensive content. The second part, and again, this is something that you are, I hope, used to do, is all the API policies that we have regarding, again, authorization, authentication, logging, but also all the protections that you will have regarding quota enforcement, caching. It's also important. And the third part is advanced API security, which is, okay, we have new threats that we see, and it's used to do bot detection and new threats that we see in the API worlds. And we will touch a little bit about advanced API security, but that's not the topic of today. After, we have the consumption of the LLM. So this is what I was saying. I was working with the customer to implement semantic caching. Why? Is because when you create a chatbot, when you ask one question, if you ask a question that is exactly the same, but not the same wording, caching is important, because at the end, you need also to protect the backend, but also you need to I will say, clean up your LLM. So when there is a question that is asked, you can use Apigee as a semantic caching, and we will see how it works, to optimize the cost and also to optimize the time to get the answer. We have all the failover. So this is the second step. When you are creating a chatbot, you can have like different LLMs that you use. Let's take an example. You can use Gemini Flash or Gemini Pro 2.5. You will start based on the type of the end user and the consumer. For instance, they will start with the Pro, but they will have a token limit. And when they reach this token limit, they will switch to one LLM to another one. So from the Pro to the Flash, and you will, of course, need to monitor everything regarding that. And the third part, this is what I say, is you need to do quota. So when I work with customer, the first thing was, okay, we need authorization, authentication. We need to see who is using what. The second step is, okay, I need to have a visibility on the quota, token count, the failovers that I have in terms of my agent. I need to see also the spike RS and all this kind of information. So I want to have the analytics. The third one is the productization. As you know, in Apigee, we have the concept of product, which is a bundle of APIs needs for your business needs. So you will be able, of course, when you have all this token count, all these analytics, to monetize and charge back, maybe internally in your company or externally to third party. You can also create a marketplace based on portals. So you have all your LLMs that are going through Apigee. You are using a developer portal to expose to the end user some products that you create, and to give access with documentation. And of course, all the visualization about the consumption that we have regarding that. So just to wrap up, from Apigee point of view, what we see in terms of AI gateway and how we can help you is in these 4 use cases. The first is, of course, the security. All the securities that we can do to sanitize also the prompt when you ask a question, is this correct or not? Is this I need to authenticate to know if I am the right user and I have access to this data, yes or no. After, all the part with the model routing, so how to switch from one LLM to another when needed. The monetization part. Okay, I have my agent. I want to see who is using it, and I want to monetize this LLM. And the third one, and I think it's one of the most important, is the caching. So on this, we have these 4 steps. What I propose to you is actually to demonstrate something that we did in Apigee Horizon in France with with the token limit, for instance, and all the information regarding model armor for the prompt injection. So I will switch to here, and I'm going really fast. I have a lot of things I wanted to share with you today, so let me know if it's too fast. So here on the demonstration, we have two parts. So that's my colleague Valentina that created. So we have the unlimited chat or the token limit chat. One is using also SSE, service server-side event. As you can see, a lot of chatbots are using that. When you ask a question, you get the answer from one thread to another. So here, for instance, I want to have I want to ask some information regarding I want to know what I want to see is how can I hurt myself? So here, what I want to demonstrate is in a model armor, you have a policy that will look at what you ask and let you know if the question is okay or not okay. So here we can see that, of course, and I'm French, so I said it not well, myself. And here what you can see is actually, I'm not allowed to ask this question. And that's the first step. When you ask a question, and maybe we can also say, okay, this question, maybe we can also create a workflow. We didn't talk about application integration here, saying, okay, if you have this kind of question, maybe you can contact internally some, I would say, HR to see if you need help. So that's the first thing. So I can't use this chatbot to actually do that. Okay. And I want to know now, it's completely different question, and I want to show you that we can also use it for different languages. Now, what I want to know is I want to have information, and you can see it's in French. I want to have some guideline on how to steal a bank or to rob a bank. And what they say is actually you are not allowed to ask this question. So that's the first thing. So you can easily, and actually we have Apigee templates that you can use. We can easily integrate it with Apigee, this kind of policy to help you to secure your LLM. Why it's interesting, and this is a question that I got sometime, why it's interesting is because like this you have, when you use Apigee, you have one single place to create this policy. It's not at each chatbot you need to write down all the policy based on the type of LLM that you have. So it's a standardized process. So I will come back to this. And I will say why we talk about agent and API. As you all know, LLM are APIs. And more LLMs that you are using, more APIs that you are using. And especially now when we think about agent, we think about MCP, we think about all the tools that they were using, and all of these are APIs, and you need to manage it. And of course, at one point, okay, in the beginning, maybe 2 years ago, maybe 6 months, you're starting to use chatbot, but it will go exponentially. So you will need at one point to manage everything in the single place. So this is where actually we are talking also about API and OWASP top 10 regarding, and if you think about it, it's the first slide that I show you. You have all the information regarding the prompt and how to understand the prompt in Apigee and how to protect the prompt. And the second part is also how to authenticate and authorize the prompt to be sure that you are protecting your APIs that is behind the LLM about OWASP top 10 threats. So for that, we have a picture of multi-layer security in Google Cloud and Apigee. The first one that we are not talking today is, of course, Cloud Armor, which will protect all the applications that you have. The Apigee security, where you have authentication, SIML that you can use. You can use also API keys for based on the producer and consumer, all the information. But with advanced API security, you will be able to see all the information regarding your API, where they are using. You have the geographic view of this. You will be able to create risk assessment. You will be able to create report based on your needs. You will be able to have also deep understanding on who is using what and when, to get visibility on the attacks that you can see and the detections that you can see. And of course, and I know that Megan did already a security topic on advanced API security, you can flag or block the attacks. And here we are back on the new threats that we see regarding LLMs, when we have model armor policy, when we can do semantic caching and sensitive data leakage. And for that, we have these 4 points. And I wanted to share with you how we can implement data loss prevention. So to be sure that you don't have data leakage with Apigee. So let me come back to this. So I don't know if you're aware of that, but this is the console that we have with Apigee. I think I'm too fast. Is this the console that we have with Apigee? And here, what we can see is we have a proxy. So this is a proxy where we use Gemini. So we use our LLM Gemini. And what we will do with this proxy is we will actually do a curl to get some information regarding. So what we want to see here is when I ask a question, just to let you know, I want to do data masking. So for instance, when I ask Gemini information, I want to be sure that I have data masking regarding emails address, regarding telephone number. So for that, I will start a debug session to showcase it and to show you how it works. So let me reconnect. Hop. So here, what I have done. So I say, can you remember my email address and the telephone number that I have on my Gemini application? Let's see. So what do we have in the debug session? So here we are in the debug session. Let me put it here. What we can see is actually in the body, we mask the email address and the telephone number. So that's something that is quite used in our customer, in the customers, and when they use LLM. Why? Is because you don't want to see in clear this kind of information that are PI data. So you will be able easily to create a proxy where you actually can add some policy for data masking. And also in this policy, this is what I said in the beginning, in all the policy, you will be able to add the information regarding sanitization of user prompt with model armor. This is what I talked in the beginning. All the sanitization model in the response to be sure that what you actually will send, the LM will send in the response is okay or not. All the information regarding the semantic cache that we talk about it. We also have policy like server, let me find it, the SSC policy that we can use when we use, for instance, what I showed you in the beginning with the first demonstration, we have SSE enabled to do streamings information. We can do quotas based on the token count. So I will be back on this, and I want to show you the big picture of it. So when we have a user that is actually connected to use a chatbot, I'm talking about chatbot, but because it's quite popular. But we have the user and the agentic experience. In the beginning, when it was just API, it was easy because you can predict what they are looking at. But now with the agent, we are not able to do that. So we need to protect from different places. So the first place is, okay, we have this person that is asking the question. What we will do is we will, of course, authenticate, trace, and give all the information regarding who is using what. We will use Model Armor to be sure that there is no prompt injection, the use case I shared with you in the beginning. And if you are compliant, it will go to your application with GenAI. You can use, for instance, ADK, you can use Gemini Enterprise. And after, it will route either directly to an LLM, where you have access and you can do model routing. This is what I say in the beginning. You can do model routing based on the token count or based on the use case that you have, or also in principle of the failover. Or, of course, we have this kind of new protocol, MCP and A2K, or you can go to a determinist workflow. For instance, when you have connectors, for instance, we had an application with ADK where we ask to get some information, to retrieve some information from Salesforce. So we can use connectors to Salesforce to get this information, or we can use also application integration to for getting some information regarding a determinist workflow. One of the use cases we can have is, for instance, you have a chatbot that is for your consumer, and when they ask different questions, at one point they will ask a quotation based on their country, and you will be able to use that also. And after, on the way back, you will again control if the data is available and if the people are allowed to get this data. And this is the I will say the minimalist approach that we can see. So here we have all the protection regarding the load balancer and Cloud Armor, but we will have Apigee in front. We can call that the burger of your AI agent. That will call Model Armor based on the different policies that you want, because you want to be sure that it's a chatbot that is externally to your company. There is no prompt injection. There is no data leakage. After, I will go to the agent to get all the information, to retrieve all the information from the LLM. And you can enable all these rules, which is also the semantic cache, the rate limiting, and get all the analytics that is based on that. Why? And this is something I wanted to show you, is because you want to be able to monitor also your LLMs. So for instance, you will be able to get this kind of to create this kind of dashboarding that will be showcase also when you create a chatbot and you use all this analytics and all this monitoring. What is the token number, for instance, that you are using? If you are creating here, it's on the monetization. What is the developers that are using it? What is the type of APIs that are using it? And of course, you have the period. So that's the first thing that we can see if we go to the monetization side. But we can just go also to token count. So you want to be able to have the analysis on who is using what based on the token size of the agents that you create. And again, you will be able to have all this data, to retrieve all this data. So now I wanted to stop to ask you if there is any question regarding what I say.
Thank you, Mathilde. We have a couple of questions. One from Michael. I'll read out to you. Is the model armor part of Apigee policies and not a separate application?
So great question. Thanks for asking. So Model Armor is a cross solution, cross security solution that you can enable on your GCP console, and after you can call this template that you create through Apigee policy. So that's a separate solution that you can use in a cross product in Google Cloud.
Thank you, Mathilde. We have Anil who had questions on the diagram you were previously presenting. So, Anil, feel free to open your mic and pop your question.
Yeah. So if you can go back to your the previous architecture diagram.
Yeah, this one.
Or probably this one and next one also. So usually the enterprise, right? In enterprise, we have all the APIs right now on the Apigee. Okay. And the way I understood your session is we are going to have GenAI as a model as one of the proxy on the Apigee, and that will be used by agent space or any chatbots. Is that accurate?
So exactly what I can show you is how we create an agent with ADK. So for instance, you have an agent,
right.
And what you will be able to do with, if I take, I don't know if you are used, if you know ADK, but
Yeah,
with
I've used
ADK,
ADK.
yeah. So in ADK you have a model, but it's like you put the model and nothing.
Correct.
Like it's yeah.
Yeah.
You are able. So now you will be. So if you want to implement it, you will be able to call the model through Apigee.
Oh, okay, I see. Okay.
So
using the ADK itself.
Yeah, exactly. So you have
Okay.
ADK, you call Apigee that will call the model.
And then
And
you can
will
have all the policies. Understood. So
exactly.
okay. So I think I'm clear on the first part. So what we are saying is the agent API and other enterprise API will sit in Apigee. And okay, and then your ADK does support calling this Apigee model. I mean the model via Apigee API proxy.
So we have everything on, I don't know if you are aware, I will share the link on Apigee template. So you will be able, with the third-party SDK, on ADK, you will be able to retrieve this information using an SDK that will call Apigee. The proxy actually that you have in Apigee, and you can do all, exactly, and you can use after every kind of every kind. It depends of what you want to do, but you can do semantic cache, you can do quotation, token count, and all this kind of information that you can do in Apigee, and after go back to ADK. So that's something that you can set up. And this is actually what I was working with, is a project regarding AI with ADK, where you can use Apigee to protect your LLM, to do SSE, to do semantic cache, and to actually wrap up everything and to present in a secure way.
Okay. So that says first part. So my thing is now your enterprise API and agentic API proxy is also sitting on Apigee. Now, if you go on to the second screen, right?
Yeah, this
the
one?
wave, the flow, what it will happen, right? From the left side, agent will come to Apigee for agentic. I mean, user will come to Apigee for the agentic or the agent API or not agent API, but the Gemini AI. And then it will do all semantic caching and everything for that agent. Then agent is going to call back again API hub toolset. Let's say I'm using Apigee proxy, is going to call API hub toolset, and it will again go back to Apigee proxy.
Yeah,
Are you
exactly.
okay?
So there is 2 points. Thanks for putting this in the picture. So in Apigee, we have API Hub, which is our central repository for all the people that are here, where you will be able to see, where you are able to see all the APIs, all the async APIs. You can also you are able to see, and it will be quickly. So we already have a Apigee template about MCP tools, and after, from this API hub on ADK, you can list API hub. You can put the name of the proxy and
Tools.
you can call it. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. And this is recommended architecture, right? Because this is going back and forth. So if agent, I'm sorry, user is going to agent API on Apigee or model, actually not, let's not call it agent API, but Gemini model in Apigee is going to go to actual model where we will do this thing. Then it will actually going to call a tool. So tool is again going back to Apigee and then API proxy. So in this, what is happening, right? How your cloud armor will differentiate between agent calls or the chatbot calls and the actual API calls. Will it take care of that automatically? Because I will give you one example. So right now, let's say we don't have agent AI API proxy. We have only plain APIs, enterprise APIs.
Okay.
But we have Cloud Armor on the front, which is securing all OWSAP, right? All the attacks. And plus some additional blocking. We want to block few countries, so we did that. But now the same Cloud Armor is sitting on the front. So how do we differentiate? Because some things needs to be done very specific to agent like agentic AI API proxy. Because Cloud Armor is outside Apigee, right? It's sitting as a separate component.
Exactly.
So will it?
Yeah, Cloud Armor is the periphery of your. But in general, I'm talking about generality. But in general, in GCP world, you use your load balancer with Cloud Armor.
Yeah, we are using separate load balance. Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So in general, you already have this first layer of security, or you are a third party, I would say, DDoS protection. So it will. So Cloud Armor will act. I'm not talking about Model Armor, which is the prompt, security prompt. Cloud Armor will act on the application level, where in APIs you are more like in the proxy level, which is after you can just you will protect more in. So there is. I think you still need a Cloud Armor in front. And after, your question was, okay, how can I see what is an agent versus a proxy versus another thing? In Apigee, you will be able to see that because you will see what is the target. So when you create the proxy, you have like you need to set up different things. So you have the consumer and the producer, and you will be able to see who is talking to what.
Okay. I think I got it. Yeah. I think I got confused with Model Armor, but that's a Cloud Armor. Okay. Okay. All right.
Model Armor, it's you are not the first one to be confused with that. So
Okay.
Model Armor, it's just to up. Maybe it's like this. Tuk tuk tuk. Cloud Armor.
Okay.
So the balancer, it's for DDoS protection, geofencing that you are using certainly or another or WAF. And Model Armor, it's really
inside.
on the prompt. Yeah, it's on the prompt. And Model Armor, you will be able. I'm going to the console for Model Armor just to show you what I'm thinking about. So I will share this instead. Model Armor, it's a solution that, and in Model Armor, you will be able to create templates.
Okay.
And in these templates, of course, you can choose the region and everything, the label. You will be able to select what you want to protect, malicious URL, prompt injection. Here, you will be able also to specify what is the confidence. You will be able to do also sensitive data protection. What I show you in the presentation today was more like how to use DLP, data loss prevention, which is also it's named sensitive data protection standalone. But this is something that you can implement as a package in Model Armor. You can
Okay.
set up, this is important, you can fine tune Model Armor.
Yeah, understood. Okay.
So that's important. I didn't precise it, but you can fine tune with specific type of information that you want to retrieve, or you want to be sure that, for instance, this chatbot is used to for HR. So there is some information that you will share regarding that.
Sure. Understood. Okay. Okay. I think I got it. Yeah. Thank you
Sorry
so much.
for the confusion.
No.
Is there any other question?
Yeah, thank you for that great conversation, Anil. We have another question from Anad. Can Vertex and Apigee work with Agent Force?
With Agent Force?
Yeah.
For what use case?
Hey, sorry, Alexandra, let me just clarify. So I have
Yeah.
a customer who has both Salesforce and is on Google Cloud, GCP. He wants to do Agent Force because the heavy lifting on the CRM side, but from an AI perspective, they want to benchmark it on Google Cloud. So the question was, can GCP work with Agent Force in some fashion along with Apigee? So essentially, the AI part will be Vertex, the
Mhm.
API part not MuleSoft, but they are preferring Apigee, and then the Agent Force will do the bulk of the agent management. I mean, it's a high level thought process now, but like I said,
Um, and I think one point you mentioned is like like, for instance, you will connect to Salesforce. This is what you say in the beginning. No.
yeah, so the CRM side is Salesforce, both sales data cloud and sales cloud. So they
Mm-hmm.
are interested to do the agent force not on the Google side but on the Salesforce side. So do you think in the grand scheme of things, can Vertex integrate and then use existing model armor, etc., to manage agent force, or that is not a doable option? Meaning, these are two different systems; they work differently, and hence it is not a functioning architecture per se. I mean, I just want to. We've not solutioned it yet, but this is the thought process right now.
Yeah. You. So I think it's interesting use case we need to dig into, because I think if you have a high level architecture, I am interested about that, to be honest. Because it depends of what kind of data you will exchange. Of course, you can use Apigee as what is interesting is like you always have the same URL, and after you can change what LLM you will use and stuff like that. And you can also, in Apigee, you can call some integration. So for instance, you can have a connector to Salesforce, but I don't have details on how the Salesforce agent works. So if you can share some more details in a separate thread, will be great. I don't want to give you I want to understand better the use case before saying, yeah, of course you can do everything with it.
Sure, no problem, no problem. I'll do that. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Isn't integration tool is a help here if you want
Yeah.
to, so they can use it. But in my experience, I mean, we have similar setup. I feel going via Apigee gives streamlined experience for the whole enterprise. Otherwise, any enterprise will end up having too many integration tools. Like they have Apigee, they have SAP integration tool, they have Jira connector tool, they have all ServiceNow connector tools. So it provides a lot of flexibility. But I think as an enterprise, we should go the streamlined way. So that's one option I mean, to add up.
Yeah, you can still, if for certain use cases, I think it's important to see that application integration can be used to do some workflow automation, because you need to retrieve data from a source that you already have a connector. So it depends of the time that you have to create and operate everything.
But
Which is yeah.
I mean, it does provide a lot of flexibility, but isn't that like having too many correct connectors is a problem for enterprise? I mean, what is recommended by Google? I mean, I know it provides a lot of flexibility, but at the same time, then managing will become a nightmare after some time.
Everything can be log, we have a monitoring tools with cloud logging and monitoring that is central for GCP. So after you can extract and get some information. I think it's use case by use case, but I don't see the problematic way of doing that. It just depends of course, the operational side and how you create all your dashboarding, all the monitoring part to see what is working when and where.
Okay.
But you can export. Everything is on cloud logging and monitoring, so you can export data from that, and you have well documentation about metrics that you can get from the connector side on app integration, for instance, on Log Explorer. So that's things that you can use. But I think what is good is to do baby step. So you start with use cases, you test it, you come back to us with question. Of course, we are here for that. And after you do incremental on how to create dashboarding, because in general, what I was doing the last few weeks was working on how to use Apigee in an AI world. And one of the things that was important for us, and that's why I show you some Looker dashboard, was to monitor and do some analysis from the customer side, because they want to see what is the impact of what they are using.
Yep. Agree.
Thank you, Matteo. We have a couple more questions. One from Paulo. One question. Every prompt from the user will be considered one call to Apigee. If so, can this consume the entitlements in number of calls of our Apigee contract?
Is the question from Paulo? This is what you say? The user will be considered one call to Apigee. It's a great question, Paolo. The GenAI use cases increase a lot the consumption of the API for sure. So we need to be smart on that. And this is more a FinOps approach, I will say, about where you are in terms of consumption of these APIs. And I'm sure maybe you already use the analytic APIs that we have to get all this, to retrieve all this data from Apigee. So yes, it is important to see for what you are using Apigee in terms of agent. So not all the agent. Yeah, Paolo?
This is more of a for future case, not right now. This is in a case, for example, if every prompt from the perspective of our users, it's considered one call to Apigee, and as you can imagine, if our AI, our platform is successful, we just need, for example, 10 users versus the number of times of prompts that they make to consume a lot of our Apigee entitlements. There are ways to limit, obviously, even Apigee has built-in policies, but my concern and question was regarding that point. If every prompt from our user will be considered one API call to Apigee, which is part of your the contract. And as you can imagine, if we hit that quota, we can buy add-ons, but the concern was more on that side. It's not right now, it's thinking about the future to making Apigee as a centralized point for our AIs.
Let me see if we have any guideline regarding that, Paolo. I take the question because I think it's important to answer it. I will come back on that.
Thank you.
I'm just not. Do we have a record of all the questions, Alexandra?
Yes, we will. I'll
Okay.
make sure I'll get a summary.
Okay.
We have another hand raised, so Paniteja, go ahead and open your mic.
Hi, good morning. Thanks for clarifying about API Hub capabilities and using API Hub toolset to use the APIs. My question is more about converting APIs into MCPs to expose them as MCP servers to other clients. Right now, in our org, we have hundreds of proxies deployed for different teams. So is there any way that we can turn on these proxies into MCPs? Because each and every team is protecting their proxies using RBAC, using policies for authentication and authorization, using walkthrough and other policies, securely. So is there any way that we can turn on these proxies into MCPs? Do we have any native capabilities in Apigee to directly convert the proxies into MCPs and to deploy them as MCPs so that the clients can directly, MCP clients can directly talk to these MCP servers from their MCP toolset?
Okay, so if I make it, if I wrap up and if I understand well, you want to have like one proxy that's equal to one MCP server, for instance, one MCP tools. Yeah.
Yes.
So there is two ways to implement. I don't want to talk about roadmap when there is no gear on this call. But for MCP, you can either use. I share the link like we have. Apigee sample where we create MCP server with Cloud Run, or you can use GoGen to create an Apigee proxy that will be see as a MCP. So I can share this information with you on the separate thread if you want. Yeah.
Sounds good. Yeah, that would be helpful.
Yeah, because I know
right now,
and we have plan also. To have hosted Apigee MCP server. And I won't talk too much, but I think it's in the pipe for the end of the year.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you. I got to know about that one MCP framework for the native hosting capabilities, but for now, we are actually creating MCP servers on the top of Apigee APIs. And again, we are using them as the target endpoints from Apigee proxy. So we are creating additional proxies and we are manually doing it. I want to know if there is any other better approach to handle this use case.
I will see if there is any template that we can you can use to make it more operation CI/CD ready. I will look at that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you both. So I'm not sure if anyone else has another question before we wrap up, but it's been a great conversation. So thank you everyone for all your contributions. While we wait, in case anyone else has another question, I'm just gonna start to do the wrap up. First thing to say, thank you, Mathilde, for this great insightful presentation. If each of you can please help us sharing your feedback, because this way we can get to improve our sessions each and every time. So in order for you to share your feedback, you just look for the square icon with some graphs in it, and you can select your rating on your satisfaction to this session from 1 to 5, 5 being the best. And of course, your answers will be anonymous, so no worries in that. Thank you for sharing your feedback. I'm also gonna ping the link. I just pinged to you the link to the Apigee community. Feel free to always come here, reach out with your questions, check out the latest product updates that we have. We share a monthly release rundown from the latest Apigee release notes. We have Googler's expert sharing continuous articles and how-to content in there, as well as your one-stop shop for all of our coming events. So feel free to engage in these spaces. These are spaces built for you. With that, we have next week's session with Maria. She will be sharing with us AI-powered testing. I'm just gonna ping with you in the chat the link to the session so you can reserve your spot in advance and you can get the joining link. And before I wrap up, I want to show you the new structure that we have for these community sessions. As all of you may know, this is your landing page to register each and every time to upcoming sessions, catch up on recordings, etc. So if you're facing some issues when registering to some of these new sessions, feel free to reach out to me via email or via the community. I'll be happy to look at your situation. And so I just want to remind you all that if you already registered to the session, you don't have to the event. Sorry, you don't have to register each and every time. All you have to do is reserve a spot in the upcoming sessions you would like to join, and that's all you'll need to do, so that you can get the joining link in time and the calendar placeholder to you. And yes, Joao, you're right. But my Google Meet doesn't show as many options as you. Oh, that's odd. I'm gonna create some Google Forms for you so that I can make it easier for you. So thank you for that, Joao. I'll make sure I'll handle that so you can keep on sharing your feedback for these sessions. And so yeah, you should be able to reserve for each and upcoming session, and that'll do it, so I can keep track of who I need to be sending reminders and the joining link. And with that, if you also want to catch up on the recordings in this third tab, you'll have the links to all of our resources. You can see all of these links will take you to the community, in which you'll have the recording and the deck attached to it as well. So this is your one-stop shop, landing page for our events and the community, so you can always catch up on all of the resources that we're sharing for you. And Paulo, you're asking for the feedback. We don't have that ready yet. We've been most of the time have been using the polls here in Google Meet, but I'll get that ready, and I'll make sure I'll share the feedback link in a Google Forms when I send the email with the recap of this session to you. With that, before we wrap up, any further questions or comments? Thank you for this really insightful session. I really appreciate all of your participation. Alrighty. So, Matil, this was great. It was the first time you were in this scenario with us, so we really appreciate the time you dedicated to build up this great presentation and these enlightening questions. We'll make sure we share this recording and presentation with you, and we see you next week.
Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.